welcome everyone. And it's been quite the year and quite the journey for Monogram. We are so excited about the launch of our two new collections, our new minimalist collection and our new statement collection. Our minimalist collection is sleek and modern and contemporary and flush installs beautifully with the cabinetry. And then our statement collection, if you can kind of see it behind me in my background there, that's our new statement collection. And that has subtle brass accents, modern design with still keeping some of those traditional kitchen appliance features. Both of these new collections are focused on ultra premium materials, performance, signature innovation, and an ownership experience. These two new collections truly are the mark of luxury that you can not only see when you look at the product, but you can feel when you touch it. And so welcome everyone. My name is Alex Scoble and I'm the manager of the Monogram Design Center here in Chicago. And we're so excited to have you guys with us today. But before we get started, I wanted to share my screen with you guys to show you how to pin John and cover a couple housekeeping things. So once I share my screen here, let me know, Elise, that you can see it.
Well, they're representative on that. What is?
Elise, do you see my screen? Okay, so I think you guys can see my screen here. So right away here is the mic. You guys are all muted, but we would love for you to ask us questions. So please go ahead and do that by clicking this show conversation. So you go ahead and click there and you can ask away with the questions. And as you can see, Corwin has shared the chicken recipe that John's going to be talking to you guys about today. And then lastly, we would love for John to be your primary screen so that you can really see what he's talking about and all the details. So if you go over to the icon that has two people in it and says show participants, go ahead and click that. Once you click that, you will see all of the participants in here. We're going to go ahead and scroll down because it's in alphabetical order to John Liddell. So once you see Liddell, go ahead and click those three dots right next to his name and pin him. John now becomes your primary screen. So again, you can see those details because at Monogram, the details are truly what define us. So without further ado, I'm going to kick it over to John. He's in his beautiful kitchen in Michigan, and he's going to talk to you about culinary recipe tips and anything that you guys want answered from him.
But I promise to bring you a great recipe and hopefully just a lot of entertaining tips that are going to help you at home in the kitchen day to day and at home, hopefully when we come out of kind of quarantine and lockdown and all that verbiage and get to be back together again with each other. So with that, welcome. I'm going to do a lot of cooking here live for you, a lot of prep work live for you. And I'm going to do all of that in my home kitchen on my Pro range, use a little bit of my 30-inch integrated refrigeration here. While I'm cooking, I'm going to pepper you with some of those fun Monogram facts and some of the BTU outputs and some of those just really kind of chefy terms that for me translate to the dish at the end of the day. I know Alex explained the platform for you, so please use that chat function to ask questions. If you feel like you want to have a one-on-one conversation, hey, unmute yourself and interrupt me and let me know what you're thinking, and we'll get it answered right then. I am very excited, though, to have you all here in my kitchen because I've kind of been lonely cooking here with just my wife and I. We're having fun, but we always want more people around. So to bring you kind of the idea of my home cooked meal, something that I prepare for, something that I look forward to, and also something that is very pantry friendly. So a lot of what you're going to see in this recipe that we've already shared for you just comes out of my normal staples of my kitchen. You know, I always pack some peppers and onions. I've got dry pasta in the pantry, cracked red pepper. There's always some sort of cheese laying around, some spicy peppers. So it's not really that detailed of a dish, but I think when it comes together, you'll see the proof is in the pudding. Or the pasta. So first of all, I want to start with you guys by showing you how I prepare. And it's funny, I had a training the other day and we were talking about entertaining, and there's a lot of questions about, guests coming over and how do you prepare and how do you do this and how do you make sure you can have time with your guests. And I kind of took that to heart because I realized that's kind of how I cook every day at home. I go to work and I cook, and I come home and I cook again. And it's the preparation when I get home that really kind of weighs me down. And as I watch my loved ones cook as well, by the time they get through all the knife work and the cutting and chopping, they're really ready for another glass of wine and not to continue cooking that dish. So I try to think a little bit ahead in my normal day-to-day, just like we do when we're entertaining a group of 10 or 12. We don't just wake up on that Saturday morning and go, all right, yeah, I'm going to go get a rack of ribs and some potatoes and source all these ingredients. No, we've been thinking about it the whole week. We can kind of take that whole scale and compress it down, though. And what happens is the preparation remains the same. Cost of goods and all that other planning goes out the window. So a simple dish like this could appear in your refrigerator, all planned out, mise en place, which is a French word for everything has its place, everything in its place. So I will literally store a tray like this in my refrigerator so that when I walk in, maybe I prep this on a Sunday, maybe it's a Monday, and maybe I'm not going to use it until Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. But when I walk in, I grab that tray, and whether everything's chopped or not, I have everything set in its place to begin the cooking process. Now, the other thing I like to do when I'm preparing for events and even just preparation in the kitchen is to keep things kind of nice and tidy and clean. So I always have some nice sets of Pyrex, lock and lock kind of containers. But what I do is I use both sides. Instead of throwing the lid back in the drawer and only using this for my prep work, I use the flat side of my lid too. Then when it comes out of my dishwasher, I can marry it up, and honestly, it keeps my my dishwasher, or not my dishwasher, my lid section of my pantry much more organized. Now this recipe starts with peppers, guys, and you can use any of the peppers that you want. Hot peppers, sweet peppers. These are just red, green, and yellow bell peppers. And you're going to run a little knife work on there. See, the thing about cooking is there's a really bad terminology to when we start cooking, because it's called prep work. Remember when we started kindergarten and we all got homework? Yeah, we all grew to hate homework, and we all grew to hate prep work as well. But I think just like the designers, architects, all of the talented owners of Monogram that I get to work with in Chicago, a lot of their creativity and success comes in the preparation. The details in the kitchens that everyone's designing comes from thinking through the process before it actually comes to life. So if I can take the time to make my mind kind of escape into the prep work, then while I'm prepping the dish, I have the availability to kind of say, you know what, I'm going to add a little bit of this. I'm going to hold back on that. And when I look at the prep work the next day, I can either confirm or deny or disprove that thought was right. So it's a very big part in the kitchen of the creative step is the prep work. Maybe we need a new definition for that. If anybody's got anything, let me know.
John, I got a question.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm being asked, or not me, you, how often do you sharpen your knives to keep them from becoming dull?
Oh my gosh, I love this question. And, I always tell everybody, I was raised in Northern Michigan, and Mama raised me a bad liar for a reason, because we tend to get in trouble. So honestly, when it comes to my knives, right now, I do not sharpen them often enough. I came up to Michigan months ago, it feels like now, and my main knife kit is in Chicago. So this knife is due for a sharpening. I've honed it with the steel. If you guys understand, most knives come with a honing steel where you kind of drag the knife across it. It's not exactly sharpening. It's kind of trying to keep the edge. you need like a whetstone or dry stone option, or to take it into a local knife sharpener. At home, my home knives, I do once a year, and then I'm honing them every time I pick them up. In the kitchen in Chicago, almost once every 2 months, really, I'm running a really good sharpen on them. But the other way around that, and the way to perfect your sharpening and your blades, is just to get a few cheaper blades that you can keep nice and sharp in your drawer, so that every time you pick up a blade, it's perfectly sharp. Speaking of that, I love that question. A little bit about knives. It's all about balance. You want a knife that can kind of balance on your hand here, where when you put your finger on the actual blade and hold the tine, it's not tilting one way or another. That gives a great balance of chop when you're cutting. The other thing you want to do is create a guide with your fingers. If you curve your fingers in like so and place that blade up next to them, and as they kind of wrap around and you slice down, you'll never get your finger. So basically, this is kind of like your holder. So you hold your vegetable, and then you kind of let the knife rest against your knuckle, and just quickly and smoothly go down. The more you do it, the more you get used to it. This is the first thing we learn in culinary school, and it allows us to move quickly and produce a lot of vegetables very quickly with sharp objects in our hands. All right, so we've got our peppers there, guys. I'm gonna start moving a little quicker now. We're gonna use some onion here. I often peel my onion all the way. Even if I'm not going to use the whole onion, I'll peel it all the way, clean the ends, and then again, put it in a nice storage container. So every time I go to chop onion, I don't have to continue peeling or cleaning that onion, or getting those little bit of onion fibers down in the bottom of the drawer. So we're using that container just to lay out everything. Again, you could do this the day before or a couple of days before and have this stored inside your refrigerator. For today's dish, guys, I'm going to use just some basic diced canned tomatoes here, as well as some tomato sauce. We've got cracked red pepper. The recipe calls for a spicy pepper. Maybe you're going to use a pepperoncini. In Chicago, a lot of times we have jardiniere. So this is a jardiniere relish. Jardiniere is something that came into my life right around the time Monogram did 7 years ago. And Chicagoans put it on pizza and sandwiches and subs, and they use it for everything, but I had never used it in cooking before. But it's a great additive for wanting to add a little extra spice. So instead of diced pepperoncini, I'm going to use that jardiniere relish. And then I've got my fresh herbs that I want to kind of cut up. And now, when you guys are prepping, I think about eliminating steps. I think about, how can I make this happen as quickly as possible? You know, at home, it transfers into my home life. At work, it's very important. So the steps that I chop, dice, and cut on my board are important, because I haven't really added any bacteria to my cutting board. There's some vegetables that have been washed, some herbs that have been washed. There's nothing on here that I would really have to pick the board up and continue to clean before I continue to cut. The point being, the refrigerator here, we've got my chicken breast. Chicken is the main protein in this dish, and you guys can see on the recipe that there's a couple other options there to replace. You know, if you want to make it gluten-free, go with pasta or gluten-free pasta. Maybe you like brown rice. This could be done over brown rice. You could do roasted vegetables on top, maybe one of those vegan burgers, or if you're a pescatarian, a piece of salmon instead of chicken. Always great. But the point here is, this piece of chicken is the only thing that really I've worked with that has bacteria that I'm concerned with. So if I cut this last, then I don't have to worry about cleaning this board again. I'm going to kind of butterfly it. So all I did is go right down the center there to get 2 workable pieces. Take a nice dice on that chicken. We're dicing it because we want it to cook a little quicker. We want it to sear nicely. All right. We'll take that chicken again, right on top of that lid there. Perfect. I'm gonna cut the portion back just a little bit for my wife and I. And we'll move this out of the way, give my hands a quick rinse. And now, guys, we're gonna move over to my Pro Range. And to introduce the Pro Range a bit, I'll tell you what I have behind me. And then after that, we'll take a quick walk over there with the computer and change views a little bit. But I have a 36-inch all gas range. It's got 4 burners, 18,000 BTUs on each burner. It's got a built-in grill in the center. You could do a griddle option on there. I went with the grill because I'm afraid of the cold, not to ski or hunt in. I just don't prefer to cook in the cold. I like the heat of the kitchen. So I went with the indoor grill for our cold winters up here to do my grilling on. And I have a large format 36-inch oven down below that allows me to take a whole catering tray that we're used to in the commercial world and slide it in there. I'm going to pepper you guys with a few more facts on that as we begin to cook, but please ask me any of those questions about the range or anything in the kitchen here as we do so. I'm going to move my pepper.
John, I got a question. Yeah, so outside of the appliances, what was the most important element to your kitchen design? What was non-negotiable for a chef?
Wow. You know, I have the luxury of working around the best designers of appliances and kitchens and homes. And, you know, I really tried to pick their brains without them knowing what was going on. So I didn't, so I didn't have to receive their service fees on that. But to me, it was space and the countertop space and the thought of choosing the right appliances to maximize what I do in the kitchen. With a convertible 30-inch refrigerator, I didn't have to go with a huge refrigerator, and I was able to get more cabinetry space. With a 36-inch range with a little bit of configuration to it, I was able to get more countertop space. We're all learning, I think, right now that our spaces are becoming more or needing to be more convertible than ever before. And as I'm doing a live cooking episode right now, and my wife is doing a dance class in the garage, and we both have offices set up all over the place, all of the countertop space is definitely the biggest thing. So now we're going to transfer the computer over, guys. So take a little walk with me. Give me 1 second here. My production crew is off today, so. How's that looking?
That looks great. Yeah,
Can
I
you
can
see?
see it. I can see the back burner. Yeah, looks good.
Very cool. So now we're going to start the recipe, and we're going to activate that 18,000 BTU burner. The recipe always says, get your pasta cooked ahead of time if you want. That saves you steps when you walk through the door. I'm going to cook mine live for you today. Just a little cavatelli here. Add that in, perfecto. We're going to start with some olive oil. I buy bulk olive oil and then put it into a squeeze bottle. It saves you a ton of money. You can find it online. You can find it at restaurant stores. And literally like 50% of the cost. Then I just put it in a more workable bottle. So we put a little bit of that olive oil down there. And grab those peppers and onions and get them started. The nice thing about this dish is it comes together really quickly. But it still resembles that kind of old-time favorite of chicken cacciatore, where traditional chicken cacciatore done with tomatoes and olive oil and herbs and seasonings and peppers, normally with a chicken thigh, and you kind of roast or braise that dish. But it takes a little bit longer than I like it to take. So this is why I created this pasta sauce recipe to give the same flavor profile, same effect, just in a whole lot less time. So the recipe is reading to us that you want to preheat your 3 to 4 quart pot or pan on medium high for about 3 minutes. And then you're going to add the peppers and onions and saute for 4 minutes. Our range actually has a built-in timer just below here. And on all gas pro ranges, it's not a normal thing even to have a timer built in there. So it's great that I can set that, and it'll give me a perfect audible alarm as soon as it's ready. As we're cooking here, we're doing pasta in the back, the vegetables in the front. And both right now are taking high temperature cooking, 18,000 BTU, guys. So 18,000 BTU below this surface here means that we can achieve that 550 degree, that high sear, rapid boil temperature, like we're doing with the pasta back here, in a matter of minutes. Pro ranges are about cooking for those, pro ranges are built for those who like to cook, like myself. I need the temperature control. I need the options. I need the large format ovens. I want to cater for people. I want to cater for myself. But it's also built for people that want to show off. So you saw before we changed the camera view that the Pro range obviously is built beautifully. And Alex mentioned our new statement and minimalist collections. And when our statement collections and minimalist collections are fully released, you're going to see brass accents on there. You're going to see LED screens. You're going to see all the bells and whistles and creature comforts that maybe don't make our food taste better, but make us feel better while we're cooking it. And I hope that you kind of do a little exploration after the event here and look at all of those options. Because as the new Pro range is developed and is getting ready to be released, you're going to see a lot of what I just said built into those. So for the show-offs, we definitely have those features. And as my rapid boil and saute are both happening perfectly, we have the performance that you need as well. Below the surface here, guys, I have a drip pan. It's sealed, so I can make as big of a mess as I would like and not worry about cleaning it up.
John,
yeah.
So you're talking about BTUs and stuff. So I know you always talk to customers about the importance of ventilation. How does your system work for you?
Yeah, thank you for that question. And the truth is right now I have my ventilation turned off just for sound quality. And it may come on its own here in a second because it has a built-in safety feature where if you are the forgetful chef, my Monogram insert, so I have a custom hood built around a Monogram insert, has a feature on it that it's going to go, you forgot to turn me on, there's too much heat, there's too much moisture, we need to evacuate all of that, and it'll suck it out of the room. I decided, because I wanted an indoor grill and I know how I choose to cook, that I wanted my ventilation to vent outdoors. So it goes out a pipe and right outside. So all of my smoke, some of that grease, but mostly the smoke. And secondly, the odors of cooking are evacuated from my kitchen space. I love to cook. I love to be around food. But after putting all day and sometimes the night into it and then enjoying eating it and cleaning it up, I'm not sure I want my house to smell like pot roast for the next couple of days. So ventilation for me is important to make sure that the home smells really crisp, really clean all the time, puts the odors and greases in the necessary spots that they should be in. I know there's other ventilation questions out there, and I've trained and worked with a lot of clients, and I know some designers agree, maybe they don't. But for me, more is more when it comes to ventilation. So the more power I have, the more opportunity I have to get rid of a mistake like burnt bacon, burnt toast, burnt cream sauces. Guys, we're gonna put a little garlic down in the bottom of this pot. I've got my chicken and my peppers and everything all working in there. I think that looks pretty good. We're gonna reduce the heat a little bit because all we wanna do with that garlic is kind of bring out the acidity in it and kind of cook that down so we tame it a little bit. While we do that, I'll add my basil into there. Give that a quick stir.
John,
Yeah.
what are your favorite pots and pans you use?
Oh my gosh. It's funny to ask because I think of like my wife's shoe closet and some of my friends' shoe. I mentioned one of my colleagues and all his fancy shoes earlier and how they store them. And, you know, I don't think anybody that loves shoes or jewelry like that would just buy like a whole lot of the, you know, a set of the same thing. We pick out individual pieces that really make us happy. And for me, it's pots and pans. And I wish I could have a pot and pan closet, not a drawer. And I like all clad. That's my go-to. It's it resonates with most of my clients. There's different levels of price, but they're all performance very well. But then I specify out different Le Creuset cast iron pieces, stove pieces. I've got a couple of De Meyer pieces. So I choose to pick a pan that really works for what I want to cook in it, than buying a whole set of pans that may appear to cook everything I need. So now, guys, we got to do a little stock in there. Simmer that just for a little bit. We add the tomato sauce. And I balance my tomato sauce with that diced tomato as well for this recipe, because as it goes in there, it just adds a little bit more body to the dish. Some cracked red pepper, more or less. It's up to you guys how much heat you like. Also want to do a spoonful of that jardiniere. Fresh ground pepper. Another thing, you know, Alex, it's funny you asked the question about the pots and pans, and I think this is another perfect piece about, you know, me really picking out something that has a story behind it. I found this at a little antique store here in Michigan. It's my pepper grinder, and the clasp is a little bit broken. I don't know how old it is. We had to oil it up and everything. But every time you turn that, you think about where it was made. You know, it must be quality because it's been around. It wasn't just, you know, something that wasted away. And with Monogram, you know, the story is kind of the same idea. We've been here building appliances and refrigeration for years and years. We're the best at what we do. And, you know, it's the only thing I want to cook on. So I try to surround myself with those kind of high quality, story-filled products just the same. Now, we can also, yeah, so you can also add some olives in there if you want. My wife loves olives, so we put a few olives in. I just hand break them because all the juices come out nicely. A few capers, looks good. And then, of course, salt. Now, salt when we're cooking is, you know, always a topic of discussion, and it's a great thing to talk about over the table because there's so many different types of salts out there with salts from France. I've collected salt in the Virgin Islands by hand myself, but the real conversation is, when do you add it? I choose to add it more towards the end because as you add the capers and the olives and start layering in the tomatoes and other flavors, you start to get a bigger, bolder, saltier flavor without the addition of natural salt here. So I add it at the end and then taste once or twice. I don't know if anybody knows, but after you taste something 3 times, you cannot really adjust the seasoning as accurately as you need to because your palate is so diluted with the flavors that are in there. So you can actually over salt things if you taste the dish too much during the salting process. So to finish this dish, we've got some fresh grated Parmesan here. It's just a pecorino, a little bit of Asiago in there, a little bit of a little blend. We'll put that over there by the plating section. And now you can see the pasta sauce is kind of just rapidly boiling down here. Here's where you have the decision to take this dish into your own hands, because you can make this, as we would call, almost al fresco, and you can eat it right now. A little bit more liquid in there. It's not quite reduced as much as normal. Or you could put this on a very low simmer and let it reduce and cook for almost another hour or two. With Monogram, I told you about the 18,000 BTU, plenty of high heat on the flame to boil our pasta, and I'm going to dump that off right now. But plenty of low heat. So if we want to simmer or almost turn this into like a kind of low simmer crock pot mode, we can do that and start breaking down the chicken. You can eat this now, and the chicken's going to have a little bit of firmness to it. It's going to have a little bit of bite. Or you cook it another hour, and the chicken starts to kind of fall apart, become almost like that pulled chicken type of idea. We'll move this out of the way. So some other features on the Monogram range are reversible grill grates. I told you we have high temperature, we have low temperature. So we give you the option to reverse these grates, and you can see there's like a cradle there, and it holds a wok. So any of our burners can give you wok cooking capabilities, where you're able to set a wok right in there, and it cradles in and really captures the inconsistencies of gas cooking. Woks are rounded, so the flame kind of just captures the whole bowl and gives you a great even cook. Or as you saw with the small cookware or larger cookware, we get the same kind of even coverage. Now, our ranges are available in a few different sizes. Our 30-inch range is an absolute great addition to any kitchen. Large oven, great BTUs, allows you to go with a little less ventilation in it. Beautiful, beautiful range. Our 36-inch range, like you see here, we can do a grill or a griddle. When you go up to a 48-inch range, you get the option to have 6 burners with a grill or a griddle, or you can do 4 burners with a griddle and a grill. So you can kind of configure it to the way that you want to. What I really love about the 48-inch range, though, is that there's a little side oven that is, it looks like, oh, it might be a toy oven. It's probably kind of dumbed down. It doesn't have as much functionality. Not the truth. That thing self-cleans, broil, bake, full extension ball bearing racks, built-in temperature, meat temperature probe. The options are endless, just like the other oven beside it. So when you get that 48-inch oven, you literally have everything you need to cook. Guys, I'm going to move the camera back over here and do a little plating.
John, I got one more question for you.
Sure.
If you had to pick only 3, now don't go over 3, 3 features on the range that you love the most, what are the 3 features? Only 3.
Yeah, that's a good one. Only 3. Like cooking something with 3 ingredients, right? That's tough. Let's see here. So number 1, I think that the number 1 feature for me is the actual burner setup, the dual stack burner that gives me that low temperature, that allows me to keep this sauce on low for hours on end without burning it, or go up to that high temperature to sear vegetables and steaks and tuna. I think it's that burner assembly with different proximity, different levels of where the flame actually comes out of the burner that gives me the control that I need. I think second is the idea behind bringing some of my commercial life to my home with a built-in griddle or a built-in grill. I would not want to change that. I do not need 2 other burners there. I like the idea of having something that allows me to cook a little differently in the kitchen when I'm at home, but allows me to connect with my, my restaurant side as well. Third is the fact that when you get a Monogram all gas range like I have here, and I'm actually out in the woods in the middle of nowhere running off of propane, and it has a conversion kit built right into it. So the guys that helped me install it just, you know, converted it right over, plugged it in, hooked it up to the 1,000-gallon tank, and we went to town. I think the idea that the propane, all gas, natural gas, it has all of the features, almost all of the features of an electric oven. So I have all the cooking modes, but most importantly, the third thing really is the self-cleaning. My all gas propane range is self-cleaning. My racks stay in the oven. I take parts off the top and put them in there. So when I'm done with you guys today, I put everything in the range, hit self-clean, and, you know, go hit the garden. So thank you.
That's great. Okay, thank you.
All right, so I got that pasta here, guys. Now, when you cook your pasta ahead of time, it's important to note that you can cool it down with cold water. You could run this whole strainer under cold water, and after it's cold, add just a touch of olive oil or vegetable oil, whatever you have in the pantry to it, and then mix it up. Put it into one of those storage containers, and then when you pull it out of the refrigerator to finish this dish or to eat some leftovers, you can just run it under hot water, stick it in the microwave. There's a few different options that you guys can do. So I always cook a little bit more pasta than I need because we do like our leftovers. So we're going to take a nice clean spoon, and when we're plating, you know, always use some clean utensils. Put that pasta down in the bottom there. Perfect. That nice cacciatore sauce. I just made a mess, but that's part of cooking, no problem. And you can see with the balance of the diced tomatoes and the tomato sauce that you get a really nice consistency very quickly. And that's the hard thing to do on these kind of al fresco tomato sauce and chicken dishes, is to get that consistency perfect in a short amount of time. Move this off to the side. Quick wipe down.
John, can you give us a little tilt on that so we can see it when you're done?
I can do better.
Oh yeah, okay, nice.
If I get Parmesan on my computer though, I'm gonna need a new one.
Oh, okay. Just add it to the request.
So guys, I hope you can get a good look at that. There we go.
Yeah, there we go. We can see it now. Oh yeah, that's delicious. Send it to us.
Well, that's my lunch, not yours. All right, guys, so this is my chicken cacciatore pasta. It's a little bit of spice, freshness. It heats up well. It goes a long way with leftovers. It feeds a whole family. It takes a couple of chicken breasts and stretches them out. And I hope for those of you that love to cook, and those of you that, you know, are going, hey, I think I have to cook more now. How do I do this a little more easily? How do I prepare things and set things up so that I don't have to be weighed down by the prep work and still enjoy my meal? I wrote this recipe especially for this time. I told you before, my family enjoys this at least twice a month. So I hope you do too. Alex, are there any more questions out there?
Yeah, I just had another one. So what would you suggest as topper items? Kids often like things on top. Is there anything you'd like sprinkled on top or?
Oh, I like that. Yeah. I mean, not only children, but adults the same.
Yeah.
So of course you've got your different cheeses. And it's hard for me because I don't like to throw all children into the same boat of we hate vegetables. We are not, adventurous eaters, because I know that many parents have done such a great job of testing and making sure their kids test vegetables and letting them at different times of eating out order off the adult menu and experience what different flavors are besides chicken fingers and French fries. So you may find a child that would like this with their favorite vegetable sprinkled on top. Is it broccoli or asparagus or who knows? But you might also find that their favorite kind of chicken finger could work too if you have that eater that goes, "Ooh, I'm not going to try anything." Okay, well, in this dish, they like pasta probably. They may like tomato sauce or not. So you could definitely make this sauce and at least have them taste it while they eat their chicken fingers. The other things for kids, I think, is texture. And I think when we start talking about crunch, and I'm a big texture person, and when I eat my leftovers, and a lot of times when I do this dish, I'll take all the leftover pasta and the sauce and put it in a casserole dish, and then I take buttered crackers. You can just buy them at the store and crumble them up across the top. And when I bake it, I get this crunch on top, and it just looks enticing. And I think it's that crunch that the kids go, "Ooh, yeah, I really like that texture."
Yeah. Well, I think of like tortilla strips to that point. I think of wonton strips and like jalapenos too. So yeah, absolutely.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I'm good with the jalapeno for sure.
Okay, well, I think that's all the questions. Does anyone else have any questions for Chef John? If you do, put them in the chat quickly. Otherwise, no, I don't think we have any other questions for you today, John. We so appreciate you, sharing some of your tips and tricks in the kitchen with us. It's been so great. And just so you guys all know, we will go ahead and send out a Friday email with a bunch of links to recipes and recordings of these table talks and all of that. So we'll make sure we share all that with you every Friday. Other than that, have a great rest of your Thursday, and then we hope to see you guys next week for more Monogram Table Talks. Thanks everyone for joining. Bye now.
Thanks, guys.